On day 1, I spawned in as a mighty dinosaur. Well, not really. I was pretty small and only had 4 hearts. I'm just a baby. I looked around and noticed there weren't any other dinosaurs around. And then I noticed I was in an enclosure with tall walls. Hey, that's no fair. I want to run around and be free. I ran around looking for a way out. I couldn't find anything. Just then, I heard a bell go off and I saw some food being lowered into my cage. I was hungry, but I still needed to find a way out. The food lowered to the ground and I ate all of it. Then I got a brilliant idea. I held onto the hook as it was brought back up to the edge of the wall. I jumped on the edge, free from my enclosure. Then I jumped off and ran toward the jungle. Dinosaurs are meant to be free. As I was running, I saw a human in a car trying to chase after me. He started shooting at me. Ah! I managed to jump over a large tree that had fallen down, but the car couldn't get through. One human threw his weapon down in anger and yelled at me.
We'll get you back. Mark my words.
What a weird guy. I found a little cave and decided to hide out there for the night. I would go looking around for more dinosaurs in the morning. On day 2, I woke up feeling very hungry. Man, I'm gonna need to find more food if I want to survive out here. I quickly began chopping down some trees and managed to make a crafting table. With that, I made some wood tools. I feel a bit more prepared now. I explored further in the jungle and found some sheep. I hurried and got their meat before they could run away. I really needed to gain my strength back. Yummy. As I was enjoying my food, I heard a snap of a twig. I turned and saw a small ocelot trying to hide behind some bushes. Hey, do you want some food? The ocelot peeked out and slowly came and grabbed some meat from me.
Thank you.
Of course.
What are you?
I'm a dinosaur.
You won't eat me, will you?
No, I won't. Have you never seen a dinosaur before? The ocelot shook his head.
I know that park over there has dinosaurs, but I've never seen one until today.
Interesting. I wondered what that park was all about and why there weren't any other dinosaurs on the island.
Thanks again for the food. You take care of yourself.
You too. He ran off into the jungle. I need to figure out what's going on here. On day 3, I gathered some more materials to make a little base. I knew that the humans would probably be back, and I wanted to be ready for them. Once the base was finished, I went out to look for some food. Boy, am I hungry again. I managed to find a bunch of sheep and tried to herd them back to my base. But then, a bunch of alligators came and started attacking me. Get back, you nasties! I used my sword and my pure strength to fight them off, and before I knew it, they were all gone. Just then, I felt a surge of power, and I grew into a teenage T-Rex. Hey, I have more hearts now. I finished gathering the sheep and led them back to my base. I hurried and set up a pen for them. What a good day. On days 4 to 5, I made my way back to the park to scout it out. Maybe I could learn more if I watched what the humans were doing. I was searching around and found some rusty shears. These might come in handy. Just then, I saw a bunch of humans driving toward me. I ran through some rocks and dirt hills to lose them, but they just kept following me. I roared at them, and the force almost toppled their car over. That's new. This caused one human to fall out of the car. The driver didn't stop and they left him. He got out his weapon and started shooting darts at me. Hey, stop it! I roared again, and the force made him fall over. I was starting to feel the effects of the dart. Ouch! I felt pretty woozy. What was that? The human pulled out a walkie-talkie.
Dr. Harland, I have subdued test subject A. Come to this location to retrieve him.
I couldn't let the humans take me, especially not this Doctor Harland. He sounded like bad news. I mustered up my strength and smacked the human with my tail, sending him flying over a cliffside. I gotta get out of here! The sleeping dart definitely was doing its job, but I managed to get back home before completely passing out. I'll have to find that doctor tomorrow. On day 6 to 8, I woke up, still feeling a little groggy. That wasn't super fun. I need to be sure not to get shot again. I went out and grabbed some food before heading out to gather more supplies. I needed some better weapons to defend myself. I went further into the jungle and spotted a small mountain. I started to mine out some of the materials and set up a crafting table to make myself a new stone sword, pickaxe, and shovel. Nice! I was about to make my way further up the mountain when I saw some little jaguars hanging out. They're kinda cute. But that was short-lived because they started to jump and bite at me. Come on, guys, I'm not food. They didn't back down, so I used my new sword to fight them off. It only took a minute before I defeated them all. Thank goodness for that. Otherwise, I would look like Swiss cheese. I ate some food to heal, and I headed further into the jungle. On days 9 to 10, I journeyed past the trees to the edge of the island. It was beautiful. Too bad there were humans trying to hunt me down. Just then, I heard a screeching of tires and saw a car coming towards me. Wow, I was just thinking about the humans, and then they show up. Maybe I have superpowers. I started to think of it raining sheep and nothing. Well, it was worth a shot. I started to run away from the car, but they caught up to me pretty quick. The guy I had seen earlier who had thrown down his weapon was inside. He must have been Dr. Harland.
You can't run away from me now. You're mine.
Go away! The car soon caught up to me, and the humans had me cornered. Ah! A heavy iron cage made out of chains pinned me down.
Thank goodness for that tracker. We didn't realize it was attached to you until later because Jones never came back. But at least he did his job right.
Dr. Harland plucked something off my leg. It looked like a dart, but then I noticed a little blinking beacon. That human, Jones, must have shot me with a tracker a few days ago. I felt so silly. I don't belong with you. I belong out in the wild. Dr. Harland just laughed. I was confused and desperate. I needed to get out. Just then, I felt a whoosh of air, and part of the cage was broken. I saw a blur of pink whizzing past me.
Run, Zozo!
I ran, following the pink blur back toward my base. When we finally stopped, I realized the pink blur wasn't just a blur. It was another T-Rex. The dinosaur jumped down from behind cover and scared me. I knew there were other dinosaurs on the island. I'm Zozo. The dinosaur smiled at me.
I'm Zoe. I'm your sister.
Sister? Wait, back up. What?
We're twins. I was put in a different enclosure though. I heard that you escaped and everyone was freaking out, so I took my chance when they went looking for you and climbed out as well. They really need to work on their security system.
But hey, good for us though, right?
Right.
So, you're super fast? Zoe nodded her head and zoomed in a circle, demonstrating her speed.
What can you do?
I don't know. Am I supposed to be able to do something? Zoe looked a little uncomfortable.
No, not really.
Oh, wait, I can move things with my roar. It's like a sonic power. I showed it off.
That's really cool.
Do all dinosaurs have powers like us?
No, I guess we are just special.
Zoe seemed like she wasn't telling me something. I was going to ask her what she knew, but then I heard her stomach growl. Hey, how about I get you some food? You must be starving.
That'd be great, actually. Thanks.
We went to the farm and ate until we were both full. Zoe must have not eaten for a long time because she had double of what I had. How about you live here? It's safe, there's plenty of food, and I'd love for you to stay with me. Zoe looked really happy about that, and she readily agreed.
Sounds like a plan.
On days 11 to 12, I made an area for Zoe on the base. I worked hard to give her everything she would need in order to be comfortable. Soon, it was all ready to go. She seemed really happy to have found me, and I was happy to be reunited with the sister I never knew I had. I decided to go exploring a little bit to improve the base and the weapons that I had. While I was out, I came across a flock of birds nesting on some stones. They were beautiful looking woodpeckers. Hey, could I have some of that stone? They seemed friendly enough, but then out of nowhere they started pecking at me. Seriously? I tried to smack them, but they kept flying and then dive bombing me. I need to get out of here. I ran into the trees, hoping to get some coverage. They stopped attacking, but I really needed that stone. What am I gonna do? I looked around the jungle and noticed some long vines hanging from the trees. I had an idea. I gathered some of the vines, a couple small sticks, and a bunch of rocks. This should do the trick. I snuck back to the rock formation and attacked them with my new weapon, a slingshot. Take that! It worked perfectly, and before I knew it, all the birds were gone. Nice! And I have some food to take back to Zoe. I gathered the bird meat and started mining out the rocks. It took a while, but I finally got enough to make some new furnaces. This is awesome! I headed back to the base and showed Zoe my new weapon. She was super impressed and even asked if I could make her one. I happily agreed. She was super excited and shot with the slingshot towards the lake. Once that was done, I used some wooden logs to build a wall surrounding the base. It was all starting to come together. On days 13 to 15, I had a weird dream. I was back in the park, but it looked like I was in a lab of some sort. People were poking and prodding at me. I saw Zoe and she was chained down. Let her go! Then the dream changed and Dr. Harland was there. He was presenting us to a large crowd of humans. He had trapped us in enclosures and we were chained. The humans stared and laughed at us. It was horrible. I woke from the dream with a start. Whoa, that was terrible. I went to go find Zoe. I told her about the dream and asked her what it meant. She hesitated.
We are lab experiments, Zozo. We aren't natural dinosaurs. Dr. Harland grew us in the lab, giving us special abilities.
Why would he do that?
He's not just a doctor. He also owns this entire park over there. He genetically engineers dinosaurs for human entertainment.
That's awful.
But you and I are special. He made us specifically for a new exhibit he's working on.
This was a lot to take in. We were being hunted by an angry doctor and his goons. It felt like the odds were definitely against us. On days 16 to 19, I woke up to find that Zoe wasn't in the base. Zoe! I looked everywhere and called out to her, but I couldn't find her. I wonder where she went. I looked around the entrance and noticed some footprints. They looked a lot like mine, but were smaller. These must be Zoe's footprints. I followed them, leading away into the jungle. They stopped at the mouth of a cave. Oh no, I hope Zoe's okay. I tried to quietly creep in the cave, my slingshot at the ready. I heard some muffled screaming, along with some maniacal laughter. That doesn't sound good. I went further down, and I saw Zoe. She was all tied up. There was also a monkey tied up next to her. Around them were a bunch of big, hairy spiders. Oh, gross! I charged, shooting rocks as I went. The spiders looked alarmed and tried to scurry away, but I managed to fight them all off. I hurried and freed Zoe just as she yelled at me.
Zozo, look out!
I turned around, and there was the biggest spider I had ever seen in my life. Granted, I was only a few days old, but still.
You're taking my dinner.
That's my sister. She's not food. I slung some rocks at the huge spider before charging at him. He smacked me with his legs, and I was nearly down to my last heart when I remembered my roar. I let out a big roar. The force made the spider fall over. I then attacked with my tail and weapons, and within no time, he was gone. Victory is mine! All of a sudden, I felt power course through my body, and I leveled up into an adult T-Rex. Nice! I had way more hearts, and my tail could swing faster now. I helped finish freeing Zoe and the monkey.
Thanks for rescuing me. I'm Crew.
I'm Zozo. I looked over at Zoe, and she was shaking. Are you okay?
That was so scary. I went out this morning before you got up, and I was ambushed by those spiders. I tried to roar, but they tied my mouth closed before I had a chance to call for you.
I'm glad I found you. Being spider food wasn't really a part of my grand plan. Zoe laughed and Crew joined us.
You're from that park over there. I knew there were dinosaurs, but nobody has seen any.
Yeah, we managed to escape Doctor Harland, but he is kind of crazy. He wants to bring us back so he can make money off of us and all the other dinosaurs.
That's awful. How many more dinosaurs are there?
We don't know, but they don't belong in there. We need to help them escape. Crew thought for a minute.
I might be able to help out with that.
Really? How?
This island has been inhabited by dinosaurs before, a really long time ago. There was a T-Rex like you guys that had a special item that could ward off the humans.
That sounds awesome. Do you know where it is?
No, sorry. Legend says it's on the island somewhere, but nobody has found it.
This was good news. Maybe we could make the humans leave for good. On days 20 to 22, Crew came with us to the base. He seemed to really like us and wasn't scared like most animals were. He was also really funny and would ride on our back sometimes. Once we got back to the base, we tried to get settled in, but then a bunch of jaguars showed up, trying to get our sheep. Hey, there's enough food for all of us. You don't need to steal from us. They didn't listen and just continued to attack. With our combined strength, the jaguars were gone in no time. We made some improvements to the base, including a treehouse for Crew to hang out in. He really seemed to like it. Hey Zoe, would you want to help me with something?
Yeah, sure. What is it?
I want to make a statue. I want the humans to know that they can't mess with us, and I want all the dinosaurs to know that there is hope to be free.
That sounds awesome, Zozo.
We chatted about the design and started on the base of the statue. Can you tell what it's going to be? Also, if you like what you've seen so far, don't forget to subscribe. We love having you here on our adventures. On days 23 to 26, I woke up to the base being attacked again. They broke through the wall. I guess the jaguars had some reinforcements and didn't like that they couldn't get to our sheep. Come on, guys, really? Zoe and Crew joined me, and with their help, we defeated the jaguars in no time. I noticed that one of them had dropped something, so I picked it up. It was an iron sword. Whoa, neat! I swung it around and nearly jabbed Zoe with it.
Hey, watch it!
Sorry! I looked around the base for a minute. Maybe we need to make some changes to the base so that it's safer. Zoe agreed and we went to work. We worked on expanding the walls and making our own areas larger. We ran out of supplies pretty quickly, so I headed out to gather some more materials. I also would really like some more iron so that I can have some better weapons. I explored for a minute before finding a large cave. I delved deeper and deeper until I found some iron ore. Perfect! Just then, a bunch of bats came out of nowhere and tried to swarm me. Ah! I hurried and started smacking them with my new sword. The last few that evaded me, I shot with my slingshot. Nice! I really like having a sword. I mined the rest of the iron and hurried to craft myself an iron pickaxe, axe, and an iron helmet. This will be perfect. I left, still feeling accomplished. I had a new weapon and a new tool. I felt like I was on top of the world. On days 27 to 31, I went to Crew to chat with him about the special item that would help me defeat the humans. He was chilling in his treehouse. I was too big to fit, so we just talked from a distance.
Well, the legend says that thousands of years ago, many dinosaurs lived on the island in peace. Then one day, the dinosaurs saw a boat approaching. They had no idea what it was, so they didn't fear it. But then the humans landed, and they began to immediately attack the dinosaurs. They took over the island and started to chop down all the trees and pollute the land. One T-Rex, his name was Ignatius the Great. He sacrificed his most prized possession to the volcano gods in order to gain the legendary item to ward off the humans.
What was the item exactly?
It was an amulet that granted him awesome power to grow to 10 times his size.
Whoa, that is awesome!
Right? So he used the amulet to defeat the humans and protect the dinosaurs.
So what happened to him and the amulet?
I'm not sure exactly. That's all I know.
What an interesting story. I hoped that it was true. It could be the answer to all my problems. On days 32 to 35, I thought some more about what Crew said. I really need to find that amulet. And if it's on the island, how hard can it be to find it? I decided to look around for something significant that could possibly help me. While I was venturing further into the island, I came upon a group of ocelots. One of them recognized me. Hey, it's that dinosaur that helped me get food. He ran up to me and started talking to me. His family seemed a little reluctant, so they stayed further back. What are you doing? I'm looking for the amulet that was lost on the island. Do you know anything about it? My little ocelot friend shook his head, but his dad piped up.
That amulet corrupts all who hold it. You don't want it.
Why do you say that?
The dinosaur that held it, Ignatius the Great, began to use the power to unfairly rule all of the dinosaurs. The volcano gods were angry, so they willed the volcano to erupt, taking out all the dinosaurs.
That's awful.
Well, that's what happens when you mess with power you shouldn't have. I couldn't agree more.
I flipped around to see Doctor Harland. How did you find me?
It's not that big of an island. I knew I would find you eventually.
I tried to run away, but Dr. Harland shot a dart at me. It got me right in the leg, and I immediately felt woozy again. Oh no, I can't pass out again. Everything was starting to get fuzzy. It's okay, we'll take care of you. Then everything went dark. On days 36 to 39, I woke up back in my house. Hey, how did I get back here? I went outside and saw the ocelot family hanging out with Zoe.
Look who's awake.
My little ocelot friend ran up to me. Zozo, you're okay. What happened? Dr. Harland shot you and then you passed out. We worked together to move you. We met your sister outside. She had been looking for you and was worried. She helped us to carry you in. Wow, you guys are the best. Thanks. No problem. I don't even know all of your names. The ocelot officially introduced himself as Marty. The rest of his family had M names as well. Melissa, Mo, Miley, you get it.
Now that you're feeling better, how about we make some room for our new friends?
Sounds like a plan. Zoe and I worked on making an enclosure for the ocelots. I could tell they were scared to be living out on their own. By the time we finished, I could tell they were really happy about it. I decided to talk more with Marty's dad, Marvin, about the legendary amulet. I asked him where it might be, and he shook his head.
All I know is that the legend says it was buried with Ignatius somewhere on the north side of the island. That's where his home was. Everyone claims that he was wearing the amulet when the volcano erupted.
Interesting. I would have to travel a long way to go looking for it. But before I went back out, I got to work on the statue. It was coming along pretty great. I was excited to finish it. So, was your guess right? On days 40 to 43, I went out to go looking for more iron since I hadn't found that many deposits nearby. I went north and found a pretty big cave. As I entered, I saw a bunch of snakes slithering around. Not today! I quickly shot them with my slingshot, hit them with my sword, and also used my roar to send them flying into the lava. I was starting to feel really powerful. I journeyed deeper, and sure enough, I found a huge deposit of iron as well as coal. I made myself a little crafting table and set up a camp for myself in the cave. With the iron I had collected, I made myself all new tools and weapons. I am the mightiest of T-Rexes! Nobody can stop me now! On days 44 to 49, I journeyed to the north side of the island in search of the amulet. I was tromping through the jungle when I heard a scream. I snuck forward to see a bunch of alligators who had trapped a toucan. It looked like they were about to eat her. Hey, stay away from her! I tromped out from my hiding place and the alligators snapped at me. I guess they didn't like me intruding on their dinner plans. They started to attack me, but with my sonic roar and powerful tail, they were gone in an instant.
Thank you, mister.
I'm Zozo.
I'm Greta. I thought for sure I was going to be alligator food.
Well, I'm glad I was around.
I've been hearing about the dinosaurs on the island. What brings you over here?
I'm looking for the lost amulet of Ignatius the Great.
Oh, that's a tricky one, that is. It's supposedly here on the north side of the island, but...
What?
Well, it's kind of complicated to explain. I think it would be easier if I just showed you.
Okay, sounds like a plan to me. On days 50 to 53, I followed Greta further into the north side of the island. We were about to enter a clearing when Greta stopped me. Is that chanting?
Yeah.
I looked through the trees and saw a temple of some sort. There were a bunch of other toucans gathered around something on a pedestal. Hey, they have the amulet!
Wait, Zozo!
I didn't listen and I tromped through the trees toward the birds. They immediately squealed in delight and started bowing. What's going on?
Oh, great and mighty one! You have heard our call, and you have come to retrieve what you have left behind.
I looked on the pedestal and noticed that it wasn't an amulet. It was is that a foot?
Yes, great Ignatius, it is your foot. We have been saving it for you.
I looked behind me and saw Greta was super embarrassed. These must have been her family members. The crazy side of the family, no doubt. Yes, I have been missing my foot. Thank you for taking such good care of it. They continued bowing as I went up and grabbed the foot. It was definitely from a T-Rex. My humble toucans, where did you find my foot? One hopped forward eagerly.
Oh, yes, we found it over here.
We journeyed on a path leading toward a large rock formation.
The foot was just sitting right here, oh holy one.
Thanks. Do you mind if I look around?
Do as you wish, great one.
The toucan left, and Greta flew up a moment later to rest on my shoulder.
I should have warned you. I don't come around here anymore because they are all a bunch of crazies. I mean, who worships a foot?
I just laughed. It's fine. It was exciting to say the least. I began digging at the rock formation, and sure enough, I found more bones inside. This must be Ignatius. Yes. We managed to uncover all the bones, but there wasn't an amulet in sight. If he wasn't wearing it, where did it go?
All the stories said he was wearing it.
This was beginning to feel like a wild goose chase. I gathered all the bones, and we headed back toward the base. On days 54 to 57, Greta and I made it back to the base. She didn't want to be with her crazy family, understandably, so we made a little nook for her. She seemed to really like it.
Hey, Zozo.
It was Crew. He came over to me. What's up?
I'm running a little low on food. Do you think you could grab me some more bananas? There's a tree nearby with some in it, but there are also some spiders in there.
No problem. I went to the tree Crew was talking about and immediately saw the swarm of spiders. Yuck! I used my slingshot to make them fall out of the tree, and then I attacked them. They were no match for my roar, and soon enough, they were gone. Sweet! Now Crew can have all the bananas he could want. I used my roar to make the bananas fall out of the tree, and I gathered them for my friend. He was ecstatic to see all the food I had gotten for him.
Wow, thanks, Zozo. Wait here for just a minute.
Crew went to work. In his treehouse, he started mixing a bunch of ingredients together in the mixing basin. And before I knew it, he had a big loaf of banana bread for me. Where did you even learn to bake? And where did you even get a mixer?
I have my ways. Here, hope you like it.
I ate it, and it was actually delicious. Yum. Thanks, Crew. He jumped up and down in delight.
No problem.
On days 58 to 62, I worked on the statue for a little bit. I was nearly done when I heard a scream from down below. The base was being attacked by some humans. Oh no! I hurried to run down to the base and noticed that all my friends had been shot with sleeping darts. The humans were trying to take them away. "You let my friends go!" I roared with all my might, and the humans focused their attention on me. They tried to shoot me, but I dodged them. I managed to take out a few of the guards and then went to chase the rest away. They got scared of me and ran off. Good riddance. I hurried to help my friends get back to their homes when I noticed that Zoe was missing. Zoe! I looked outside the base and I saw her lying on the ground. She didn't look too good. Zoe, let's get you inside so you can sleep.
They didn't hit me with a sleeping arrow, Zozo. They hit me with a real bullet.
What? Why?
I heard one of Dr. Harland's men say that they just needed one dinosaur for the exhibit. You. So I charged him, and he shot me.
Oh no. Zoe!
It's okay. The hunter that shot me, Brett, said that they were going to get the amulet from its secret hiding place.
Zoe weakly handed me a map.
They dropped this. Hurry, Zozo. Take care of the rest of the dinosaurs. Protect the island.
And with that, my sister died. No! On days 63 to 66, I used the map that Zoe gave me to track down Brett. They won't get away with this. I traveled to the north side of the island again, past the temple and down into a large cave. There didn't seem to be anybody around, but then I saw a pool of water with a large glowing squid in it. There were a bunch of humans attacking him. Stop hurting innocent creatures! The men jumped in surprise as I attacked them. In only a matter of seconds, they were defeated.
Thank you, Ancient One.
Of course.
I knew you would all be back someday. It was only right that the dinosaurs ruled this island again.
Do you know where the amulet is? The squid nodded and pointed down further into the tunnel.
I'm afraid the rest of the humans have already started heading down that way, though.
How did they know to look for you?
Dr. Harland was my friend. When he came to the island, he discovered me and studied me. I told him of the amulet in the cave, but he wasn't interested in it at the time. It wasn't until recently that he wanted to retrieve it. I guess he didn't want a chance you finding it and overpowering him. He ordered his goons to destroy me.
I'm so sorry. That must have been heartbreaking.
You can't trust those humans. They only want power. They'll do anything to get it.
I'll go retrieve it.
Good luck to you, friend.
And with that, the squid swam further into the pool and disappeared. On days 67 to 70, I went deeper into the cave, which then opened up into a huge underground chasm. This must have been Ignatius's lair. Then I saw Brett and some other goons grabbing a chest from an alcove. That doesn't belong to you. Brett dropped his chest in surprise. He turned and sneered at me.
It don't belong to you neither.
I charged, ready to strike. The men got out their weapons, ready to shoot.
Don't hurt him, just put him to sleep. The doc wants to save him for later.
I managed to dodge all the darts, and I used all of my strength to swing and hit the humans. I finished off his men, and then went to attack him. Brett looked a little uneasy as I got closer, so then he pulled out his dart shooter.
I don't want to hurt you, dinosaur, but I will if I have to.
He fired his weapon, and it wasn't sleeping darts. It was a stun blaster. Ouch! Electricity pulsed through me and I fell down, hard.
Just give up. It'll be easier.
Then I blacked out. On days 71 to 74, I woke up, my bones and body aching. Then I remembered, the chest! I looked in the alcove and it wasn't there. Shoot! Brett must have taken it while I was out. I felt awful as I made my way out of the cave and up into the jungle again. It was super slow going to get back home, but eventually I made it. On days 75 to 78, I entered the base. I was so exhausted and just wanted to be alone, but my friends came running up to me.
Zozo, you're okay. We were asleep, and when we woke up, you were gone. Where's Zoe?
I told them all about what happened, and they stood in shock.
We are so sorry, Zozo. Zoe was a really good friend.
I felt awful. I told them I needed to rest, and I went into my house for a little while. It wasn't until I heard screaming and shouting. I hurried to run outside, only to find Brett in the base, trying to shoot my friends again. What are you doing here?
I need your blood, dinosaur. Give it to me.
Ew, gross, no! I roared at Brett, causing him to fly backwards into the wall. I smacked him with my tail and sword, easily defeating him. I then felt a surge of power, and I leveled up into a full-size T-Rex. My roar could demolish anything, and I had tons of hearts.
What did he mean he needed your blood?
I have no idea, but that was definitely creepy. I looked and saw that Brett had dropped some things. I was hoping it was the amulet, but it was just a key card and a painting. The painting had some glyphs of humans shooting a dinosaur with a dart shooter and then growing to be huge. Have you seen anything like this?
No, it just looks like something the old humans must have left. They probably just thought that defeating a dinosaur would grant them power.
I guess Brett thought so too. Probably why he came back to hurt me.
Creepy.
I looked at the key card a little bit more closely. It had the park symbol on it and a label saying Site B. What is Site B?
The park is Site B. Site A is the abandoned site down the hill.
There's two?
Yeah, Site A was abandoned because it was too small. Now it's just storage.
There must be something important in there if Brett has a key card to it.
Must be.
On day 79 to 84, I traveled to Site A to go exploring. I was hoping the key card for Site B would work here too. As I approached the front gate, I took out the key card, put it in the key card scanner, and the gate clicked open. Nice! I followed the path and arrived at the main building that rose through the jungle, high into the sky. I slowly went inside the building and saw lots of boxes and cobwebs. The place looked like a mess. This place has been completely abandoned. I explored the building and saw an interesting roller coaster through the window. It goes straight through a dinosaur skeleton exhibit. What in the world was happening in this place? All of a sudden, I heard a noise from a back room. I approached and looked through the window, only to see an alligator looking through the cabinets. I wonder what she's doing. Then she saw me and charged at the glass. She then opened the door and ran towards me. I quickly backed up and she snapped her teeth at me.
What are you doing here?
I'm looking to see if there was anything that could help me defeat Doctor Harland here. What are you doing here? The alligator looked at me. She paused for a moment, then started speaking slowly.
I'm also trying to get to Dr. Harland. He's been running tests on my family in order to make new dinosaurs. I need to rescue him.
We can work together. Have you found anything useful here?
Yeah, there's some sort of weapon downstairs, but it's too heavy for me to carry. Maybe you can carry it.
I started to go down the stairs toward the control room. As I was about to enter, I felt something push me down the stairs. It was the alligator. Hey, what was that for?
You aren't supposed to be here, dinosaur. You've been extinct for years, and now you just expect to rule the whole island? The alligators are the real predators here.
She snapped her teeth at me and almost got me. Hey, I'm just trying to survive here. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. She ignored me and kept snapping her teeth. I backed up and then used my roar to push her back. I hit her a couple more times, and then after only a minute, she was gone. I wonder if there was anything down here or if she was just lying. I looked around the room, and sure enough, it was mostly just trash. Then I noticed a trapdoor. I was too big to go all the way down, but I did notice some diamonds and other materials, but they were out of reach. I looked around, and there were a few more diamonds just laying in the corner of the room. These will definitely come in handy. I grabbed them and headed back to the base. I would definitely need some help scouting out the rest of the secret room. On days 85 to 89, I went back to chat with my friends about what I had found.
Wow, I knew that the alligators on the island were super territorial, but that's just crazy.
What weirdos!
I know, right? But would one of you come with me back to the room? I can't fit down there, but I would like to see if there is anything else of value.
Yeah, sure.
Crew and I headed back to Side A, and he checked out the secret room. He came up in a few minutes, super excited.
There's a tunnel, and it looks like it leads into the Site B park.
This was great news. Now I just needed to figure out a way to fit down there. Crew explored some more and said there was a bigger tunnel opening near the river. That's perfect! I'll go in that way once I'm ready. On days 90 to 94, the monkey gave me the diamonds, and I used them to craft myself some better weapons. I didn't really have enough diamonds to make armor that would fit me, so I just made weaker diamond armor with a few chunks missing from the armor pieces. It would be enough to cover my weak spots. I tried it all on, and I actually felt really cool. Not only am I a strong dinosaur with superpowers, I now also have some protection. I knew that I was one step closer to defeating Dr. Harland and freeing all the dinosaurs. On days 95 to 97, I finished the statue. It is in honor of Zoe. As I looked up at the finished statue, I felt a sense of hope and strength. I knew that I would get the amulet and fulfill my destiny. On day 98, I said goodbye to all my friends before heading out. Take care, you guys. I'll be back. I promise. They cheered me on as I left the base and headed out to the park. On the way there, I noticed a plane overhead, and it was dragging a sign in the sky. Subscribe? Hey, that sounds like a good idea. You should do that so you can follow along on some of our other adventures. On day 99, I went to the river where the tunnel opening was. I broke the bars and headed inside toward the park. It was dark for a little while, but then I started to see light. The tunnel led to an enclosure with all kinds of other dinosaurs. I approached the gate and roared to break it open.
Whoa, it's the T-Rex!
They all gathered around me.
Are you gonna free us?
Yes, this tunnel leads to the outside world. I'll go open up all the other enclosures so that we can all be free. The dinosaurs whooped in delight, and then a bunch of darts started flying. The humans came out of nowhere and started shooting at us. Run, you'll be safe! They all started running into the tunnels as I roared at the humans. I trudged through the park, defeating the guards easily. I continued to the other side of the park. On day 100, I was loose in Jurassic Park. There were a bunch of humans running around in panic. I tried not to step on them. I just wanted to find Doctor Harland. Then, out of nowhere came a bunch of humans with weapons. They shot, but I dodged and roared and swung my tail at them, sending them flying in different directions. They quickly ran away, and I continued through the park to the big building in the center. I smashed through the doors, and sitting on a pedestal was the amulet of Ignatius. I went to grab it, but I felt a dart hit me. I flipped around and saw Dr. Harland with a large shooter.
Come quietly, and I won't hurt you.
No! I grabbed the amulet and felt a huge surge of power. I turned into a giant T-Rex with massive teeth and a mighty tail.
So be it.
Dr. Harland backed up into the lab and closed the door. I heard some whirring, and then he appeared in a large robotic suit.
I didn't want to hurt you, but you have ruined my park. You are a liability now.
He shot at me with some tough shooters, but they didn't hurt me as much since I was so powerful. However, he soon started throwing bombs at me, which were not so easy to avoid. We exchanged blows, and I almost thought that Dr. Harland was about to end me. Ah, that hurt! Ha! I dodged that one. You will not take me down that easily. Take that!
Ah, you dirty lizard! That hurts!
But I was also doing some damage. I could tell some of my roars were hurting his mech because sparks started flying. Finally, his mech started smoking. Now I was doing some real damage. Then I used my sonic roar and sent Dr. Harland flying. The suit crumbled into pieces, and Dr. Harland was finally defeated. I made my way throughout the rest of the park, releasing all the dinosaurs back into the wild. They all seemed super happy. Once we all reached my base, I saw my friends cheering for me. Life was back to the way it should be.